Chris, what do you make of Biden's hot mic? He seemed to, like I said, I don't think he actually understood the situation, what he was saying, but he also seemed to think that it was like kind of cool and funny, and like he had a cool comment.
Yeah, this is the same guy you'll remember who spends an awful lot of time, nuzzling his nose and head into the hair of women and giving prolonged hugs to people in very inappropriate ways. His judgment on his personal conduct and behavior was flawed decades ago. There's still an outstanding claim of a sexual assault that's unresolved and is kind of hanging out there. We're suing to get the records from the University of Delaware about the sexual complaint or sexual assault complaint that was filed against him. He has really bad judgment. He's a gaffe machine. He for decades, literally, he has spewed out crazy, stupid comments. And this is just another example of it. And it's compounded because he's not all there.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't seem to actually understand what's taking place in front of him at the time. But a 31-year-old man in Boston is reportedly no longer eligible to receive a heart transplant because he's not vaccinated. His family says he was at the front of the line at a women's hospital to get the surgery, and they say he's fighting for life. He has 2 children with another on the way. Is this type of discrimination even legal? Chris, what do you think?
It's unlawful on a number of different fronts, and it's just a policy thing. This is not a law in any way, shape, or form. This is the position of the hospital that some hospital administrators decided to impose. And here's what needs to happen. Everybody who's heard of the story and is disturbed by it needs to communicate with the board of governors or the directors, whatever the official oversight body is for the control and administration of the hospital, needs to communicate with them and make it loud and clear that what they're doing is killing someone, and that's not the mission of the hospital. And all pressure should be applied to the board of governors or board of directors, whatever that entity is. You can find it online. This is not tough to figure out. And they need to be peppered and be forcefully, politely, but forcefully told, this is unacceptable. You can't kill a man because he doesn't buy into the vaccine thing, which is questionable to begin with.
Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson hosted a COVID-19 expert panel this week. The panel featured doctors and physicians who broke down the country's existing public health situation. Dr. Pierre Corey blasted the federal government, saying its COVID response has been directly tied to big pharmaceutical companies.
If you look at these innumerable failed policies, there's only one way to understand them. They are literally written by pharmaceutical companies. Almost every single policy serves the interest of a pharmaceutical company. However, if you look outside the United States and look around the world, there have been numerous successes.
Is he right, Chris?
He is very right, and I think that we're going to find out. It's going to take time, in part because pharmaceutical firms and Health and Human Services, the FDA, other government agencies are dragging their feet on the production of records concerning the entire approach, whether it's the vaccine drive, whether it's other public policy, things like masks. It's going to take time to uncover all the records, and that's what they rely on. They rely on exhausting the public and fatigue setting in and you not being willing to pursue and follow. The problem is there's an organization called Judicial Watch.
I was going to say, no one knows that better than Judicial Watch.
And that's what we do for a living, is pursue these things for years and years and years, and so we will. We'll end up writing the history on this when we get all the records and documents. It's going to be really ugly, and the American public has been lied to repeatedly. They've been manipulated. They've turned public policy into propaganda. The face mask is the MAGA hat of the left, right? And so in the long term, we will see that Dr. Corey and his other colleagues who've been trying to tell the truth, who've been trying to give a reasoned, truly scientific explanation, will be upheld. They'll be seen as the truth tellers, and the American public having been really victimized by an establishment medical autocracy. It's time will tell.
All right, very good. Next up, we've got Chris's pick. His topic points out the political dangers of NATO military leaders breaking from the rigid script of political orthodoxy. Chris, please explain.
There's a great lesson here. The German naval chief, Admiral Schirnbach, is at a conference in India. He thinks he's off the record, and he's in an environment where he's sort of thinking out loud. It's a free-flowing exchange of ideas. And he makes the very dangerous error of committing the truth. He makes comments like, Crimea is lost to the Russians. And of course, it has been since 2014, when the Obama-Biden administration did nothing when Russia took Crimea back. He points out that Ukraine really isn't eligible right now for NATO membership because part of their territory is occupied, the Russians are already there, there are other shortcomings in Ukraine's eligibility, really. He points out that, you know what, a tool short of war would be giving Putin a little bit of a PR boost. In other words, using diplomacy to play Putin off to keep him from invading Ukraine. He points out that China is really the bad guy in the world, and we shouldn't be doing things that drive Russia and China together. Well, for saying these things, he's forced to resign as the chief of the Germany's Navy. And I just want to take that and pause and reflect it back on our own leadership within the Department of Defense. How about General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? Here's a guy who, on the record, there's quotes of him essentially giving the communist Chinese the assurance that he would give them a heads up if we took military action against China, making unauthorized phone calls and contacts with China's military chief of staff. What are the consequences for Milley doing these sorts of things? One could say that he even did things that were disloyal with respect to following his commander-in-chief at the time, President Trump. He took a phone call from Nancy Pelosi where she was trying to persuade him not to follow Trump's orders. We're suing to get the transcript of that phone call. Judicial Watch is in court right now to get those records. But let's reflect on how how Germany's Navy chief is dealt with and handled for thinking out loud in an open forum and discussing things that really are kind of matter of fact, and how our own military leadership, Milley's still sitting as chairman of the JCS.
To be fair, both are wrong. Both actions are wrong, right? The way Germany handled theirs and...
Yeah, I mean, if the admiral can't, in an open military forum, if the admiral, off the record, if the admiral can't express his personal opinions, then there's a serious problem within the military in Germany.
So, very interesting. Thank you so much for the topic.